Tell You a Story is part of the Carolina Storyteller. Written by me, produced by me, edited by me, starring me, horribly marketed by me. I'm 2 years in and then around a team. If you want to support the podcast, please go to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller and subscribe. We've got 3 tiers, and from those 3 tiers, you can get early episodes, exclusive content, and if you go for the big bucks, believe it or not, you'll be part of the live audience. Stay spooky, my friends.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Let Me Tell You a Story. I am the Carolina Storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. I've got a great story for you today, and even more importantly, I've got a great guest for you today. I have Liss from Ouch, Was That a Ghost? On with me today. Liss, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it. If you have not heard Ouch, Was That a Ghost? It is one of my favorite podcasts out there. And speaking of Ouch, Was That a Ghost? Since I had you on here, Liss, I thought I'd bring out a hat so that we could pull something out to banter about. And people who have listened to Ouch, Was That a Ghost will know what it's talking about. And, wouldn't you know it? It's our favorite podcasts. That's what we're going to banter about real quick. Amazing that the hat worked. But, no, the reason I brought that up is because, Liss, you have introduced me to some really great podcasts, and we kind of have this back and forth going. So I just thought we'd throw out some of the ones, give them a quick nod while we were doing this. Like you've introduced me to Mortal Musings.
Oh, I love that podcast.
Yes. Oh my God, Neil is. I love that one. Really, I do. They really they really are entertaining. And most recently, what was the one you just recently introduced me to? I've only heard a couple of episodes of it.
I love Cryptid, Creeps, and Conspiracies.
That's it.
Natasha.
Cryptid, Creeps, and then Conspiracies. Natasha is really great. And
she's so animated and fun. And she loves cryptids. That's like one of my favorite things. And she'll talk about them for hours.
yeah, I have to get into more cryptids. I think I've only done Bigfoot and the Plaid Eye so far, and the Lizard Man.
They're so fun.
Yes, they really are. And there's so many. There's the Jersey Devil. There's the Mothman. There's a Loch Ness Monster. I mean, you just keep going. There's Florida in general. That place has to be a cryptid by now, right? Is that really a real place? Can anybody prove that Florida exists right now on this podcast?
Not me. I'm not going near it.
Yeah, me neither. I think that I imagined when I went to Disney World as a child, so it's definitely does not exist in my opinion. Florida and Texas, they just don't exist. They're imaginary places. But I've shown you a couple too. A Conduit's Diary. Have you had a chance to listen to that one yet?
Yes, that's very good. I like that one a lot.
And have you had a chance to listen to Victoria J yet?
Victoria J. I have not.
The demon folklorist.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
Yes, she's really good. And that's, Liss is just the best at giving me podcasts because after I started listening to Ouch, Was That a Ghost? I had competition I had to stand up to.
If you like true crime too, another one of my favorites is Mysteries and Mimosas.
I don't think you've sent me that one yet. That's going to have to be one I'll have to look into because I do like true crime.
I will.
I'll have to listen to that one. But you've recommended some podcasts that have ended up on my top 10 list. And so I felt like we should give a nod to some of those great podcasters out there. Now, Liss, you host Ouch, Was That a Ghost? And you do basically a storytelling, but you don't just do ghosts. You've done cryptids, and you have Torture Tuesdays.
Yes, we do. I dabble in everything. I do a little true crime sometimes. I prefer the older true crime, like the 1800s, early 1900s. Those are the ones that I enjoy researching and telling more. But I do torch. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, I thought you guys did the Black Dahlia recently. Was that you I listened to?
Yeah, that was because it was a request. It was a Black Dahlia,
okay.
But I prefer older. Any that I can find that are really old, like the Burke and Hare ones, that's the era that I like.
Well, the great thing about listening to your podcast is that you do a lot of your research and share your research with the podcast. I'm a storyteller, so I embellish. So I don't want to share my research because if people go and look up my research, they might realize that some of my stories are a little bit embellished. Um, Even though I
That makes
say
it
I'm a
better.
storyteller.
Yeah, it makes it better. Yeah, by calling yourself a storyteller, you're covering all bases. You can lie about anything and you're covered.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller. This is fiction, people. It's fiction by the fact that, yes, a whole bunch of people died, but I made up this part. I get off easy because I throw something made up in every story. You can't sue me. I made that up.
That's right. That's like the perfect blanket.
Yep, I made it up. So what if all the rest of it was true? I made this part up. He did not have blonde hair. But yes, so you guys originally you had your partner Lee with you,
Yes,
and sadly we miss Lee. I want to say that now we do miss Lee,
I know. Me
but sadly
too.
she had to leave, and we're not holding it against her. At least I'm not. You know, even though I'm saddened that she left, I'm not holding it against her. And you're still going. You're going strong, and you've got Mike on there now, who helps you out with the Torture Tuesdays. And Mike is a character, isn't he?
Mike's a mess. He's my older brother, if you didn't know
Is
that, if I didn't say
I
that.
I was starting to think you guys were related when you were telling stories about, hey, do you remember when we had this oven in the house? It was like, okay, they're cousins or brother and sister. I don't know what their relationship is, but it's awesome.
Yeah. I get told whenever I'm on with him that my Massachusetts accent comes out, and everyone messages me making fun of the fact that I don't use R's when he's on.
Yeah, you lose the letter R, so it becomes the ka.
Yes.
And believe me, I understand completely because when my southern accent comes out and people are going, what? Like, look, you just need to understand this is how we do, just the way that we talk down here, okay?
I love that. I was on with Natasha, one of the episodes we did, and she started talking about hills and hollers, which I've never heard of before. And I was like, what
You've
is
never
that?
heard of a holler?
I not until she said it. She said over them hills and hollers.
Oh, good gosh. Yeah, you got to know about you get down to the South. If you ever come down to the South, you got to know about back in the holler. You got to know about the creek.
The crick? Is that the
Yep.
creek?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's the
No.
creek. The creek is where everybody goes fishing. Now, there might be a creek somewhere, but we go to the creek. We're going to go down to the creek. We're going to throw a rod in. We're going to catch us a couple of brim.
Brim?
Yeah.
Every other word. I feel like I'm talking to Neil and Megan. I don't understand every other word you're saying.
See, that's the thing is that Southern is its own completely different language. And, you start getting into, there's not just a completely different language. There's things we say in the South, like bless your heart. It sounds very, very caring, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, bless your heart is the worst insult you can say to someone in the South.
Really?
Yes, yes. If someone looks at you and goes, "Oh, bless your heart," that is the equivalent of 25 your mama jokes at once. It is brutal. Bless your heart is the most brutal. Not, oh, bless their heart, bless your heart.
Hmm.
It is a brutal Southern insult. It is the equivalent of calling you stupid and ugly and everything else at the same time. You
Hmm.
know, somebody looks at you and goes, "Oh, just bless your heart." Yeah, run.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
They do not mean well. Bless your heart is not a compliment in the South. Don't let anybody fool you.
Noted.
You know. And then we got how'd you mind them?
What?
How you mind them?
How is your
It's,
mother and them?
no, how you mind them? Mind them. Mind them. It's how's your family? But you say mind them because you're mentioning the mother and everybody else and them.
Hmm.
You got to understand these Southern words.
I would just be staring there blankly.
It's like Southern directions. What you got to do is you got to go down this way to the tree where old Jimmy Ford ran into it when he was drunk off with a moonshine. And you're gonna take a left, and go about, well, I'd say 2 Leonard Skinner songs, and then you're going to take a right and be back there in the holler.
So I'd be lost. Got it?
Yeah, GPS. If GPS spoke Southern, nobody would ever find their way around. So, anyway, I'm very happy to have you on my show. And I'm very happy that I got to have the banter with you that you have on your show. And I'm very happy that you have introduced me to so many great podcasters. Let me say that now, because your show and the podcasters that you bring on and the stories that you tell does kind of help give me the drive to be better at my show and to keep going with my show, because I'm like, oh my God, these guys are great. I can do this too. We're going to keep up. It's great to have somebody out there that I know, that I talk to, that I can listen to and enjoy, and then compare to my work and go, okay, I can do this different, and I can keep, I understand how the hip hop world works now. Like, yeah, oh, he's good over there. I'm gonna put these bars in.
What I love about the podcasting community is nobody's like climbing over each other. Everyone is so happy to, if you want to set up a merch store, they're more than happy to be like, yeah, this is the one I use. Here, use this. I don't understand how to do this. Sure, I'll help you. You can do this, this, this.
Yeah, the podcasting community is really one of those communities that is very much I'm going to give you a leg up because I might need you to give me a leg up one day. It's very much we help everybody out, and we're always willing to. Somebody messages me and says, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, I'd love to. I've appeared on No Fake Shit. I've been on the Christian Reeve podcast. I'm getting ready to do a movie review podcast where we're going to talk about the movie Footloose, the original one, not the remake. Kevin
What
Bacon,
remake?
people.
The remake doesn't count.
Exactly. Okay. If they're not racing tractors, it's not a real race. I said what I said. But we have I have all these podcasters that I talk to them and we talk about different things. I'm in, I don't know, 4 or 5 different podcasting groups. I think I met you in a podcasting group, actually.
Yes.
Podcasting for newbies, actually, and on Facebook, because we were both newbies. And it's really great, the community that we have, where we're all helping each other out and backing each other up and taking care of each other. And then we start working together and growing with one another. And it's just a really wonderful sense of community to be a part of.
It really, really is.
That being said, this podcast is about telling stories. And I have saved a story for a while, and I've decided I'm giving the story to you.
I am honored.
Yeah, this story, I actually wanted to save this one. There is another storyteller, a man I very much look up to, but we've had a whole bunch of scheduling issues, and this story has been burning a hole in my back pocket since I started my podcast. So when I had the chance to get you on, and as much as I respect and I love your show, I wanted to make sure that I gave you a story that if you decided to go back and use it at some point in time, it was going to be one that was going to be epic. So today, the story I'm going to tell you is about a young girl named Alice Flagg.
Okay, I'm not familiar. I've never heard this.
So this story takes place back in the 1800s, back before the Civil War, in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. Now, Murrells Inlet, South Carolina is about 70 miles north of Charleston, South Carolina. It's on the coast. And Alice Flagg was a young 16-year-old girl who lived on a plantation with her family. Her family was very affluent. And at 16, she was sent down to Charleston to go to school, because what you do is you send your rich folks send their kids someplace nice to go to school. And while she was there, she met and fell in love with a young stable boy. This young man was just working. He was just a hardworking man. But Alice was enamored with him, and he was enamored with her. And the two met, they fell in love, they had this kind of romance. And while he didn't have enough money to kind of step up and make a home for her yet, they still got married. And they exchanged rings, and Alice wore her ring on a necklace that she kept tucked under the hem of her dress so that no one could see it. They were married in secret, kind of like Romeo and Juliet, hiding everything from everybody, because that's a real smart thing to do. Um, Now, at some point in time during her stay in Charleston, Alice contracted some kind of virus. I've heard it was malaria, I've heard it was this, I've heard it was that. Different versions of the story make it a different type of virus. But the thing is that Alice became deathly ill. And so they took Alice home to Murrells Inlet. And when she got home, the doctors were looking her over. And as the doctors are looking her over, her father comes in and he finds this ring around her neck and immediately snatches it off her. He wants to know what's going on. He becomes incensed and he finds out that Alice has married below her station. And this just, he won't have it. He throws a fit and he walks out into the marshes surrounding their plantation, because it's a rice plantation. And he hurls the ring out into the marsh. Now, maybe it was just the stress of the argument. Who knows, whatever it was. Immediately, Alex takes a turn for the worse. And within 7 days, young Alice is dead. She was fine a week ago. She comes home, loses the ring, and dies. The entire time she was pleading with her father to return her ring, saying that she knew she would get better with the ring, and her father refused. And of course, her father was heartbroken that she died so well afterwards, but he was sure that he was right up until the moment she died, and then there was nothing he could do about it. And the ring was lost in the marsh. But that's where the story takes its turn. Because after Alice died, it was said that she could be seen walking near her grave in search for the ring. And this is where the legend of Alice Flagg's grave came up. Alice Flagg's grave, for everyone that knows it, is a simple stone platform that's laid into the ground. It simply has the word Alice on it. And the ghost story is that if you go to Alice's grave and sit upon it a ring, that Alice will come to see if it's her ring. Because remember, she just wants her ring back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up in Pawleys Island, which is just south of Murrells Inlet. And in Pawleys Island is the church where this simple stone tombstone just so happens to be. And me and my friends actually went out there. And around the tombstone is a path that has been walked in a circle, as if someone has been continuously walking in a circle.
No
looking
way.
for something. Yes. It is a very real thing. It is actually there. It's as if someone is searching for the ring. And it is believed that Alice Flagg still searches to this day for her ring. Now, there are rumors that that's not Alice's grave. Actually, it's argued that her grave is actually at another cemetery. Only the story surrounding that cemetery is a little bit weirder. Because that cemetery, the tombstone is actually a spire, like the Washington Monument almost. It also has the word Alice under it, only it has Flagg underneath. And if you sit the ring on the tombstone, the ring will supposedly levitate. And if it's right, she'll take it. If not, it flies off at you. And people have been injured by rings being thrown at them with incredible speed. And also around this tombstone, there is a circle marched into the ground. Nobody can actually confirm which one is the real gravestone of Alice of the Hermitage Plantation.
How bizarre.
Yes, very bizarre. And also a good reason to talk to your kids, not blow up at them, because they could come back and haunt the world for 200 years looking for a ring that you threw into the marsh.
Her father was such a dick. If he was rich, he could have probably had that ring found
Yeah,
even after she passed away.
yeah, he really was. And now, granted, she was the youngest daughter, so it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, she fell in love with a stable boy, and yeah, this is America. That shouldn't be a big deal, but it's just shows how much class really came into things back then, that it was so horrible that his daughter could be marrying beneath her station, that he rather that she suffer and die than be married to this, because she was sick, but she was getting better until he took the ring. So it was believed that her love, was what was helping her hold on. And when he took that from her, that's what killed poor Alice. And that is why Alice is forever cursed, to haunt her gravesite, waiting for someone to return with her ring.
And you've gone to both of the grave sites?
I have never been to the spire. My friends have been to the spire. Um, I've been to the Hermitage Plantation, the plantation in question, where they say that they've seen her ghost wander. And I've been to the actual, the original tombstone that says just Alice. But I have heard that the spire is the real tombstone, not that one. However, there's still the path traced around the tombstone. So some people say that she was buried in one place and then moved later because so many people were going to the grave, and that's why the path moved. And that's why the tombstones are still there, but the body's not. And that's why everything has moved. Others say that one tombstone is another girl named Alice who died under similar circumstances, but isn't necessarily looking for a ring.
She just wants her cardio in?
Yeah, she's just trying to get the cardio in. You spend a lot of time laying around when you're dead. You gotta get the blood flowing.
Cramps.
you know, but
Huh.
I thought that might be an interesting story for you.
I like it. I've never heard that before.
Yes, it's the southern ghost stories aren't necessarily always um, you know for some reason southern ghost stories always seem to have something to do with somebody doing something pretty stupid. Um, you tie it into the Alice Flagg. If the dad hadn't have taken the ring, probably wouldn't be a ghost there. Um, the headless sentry in Wedgefield probably have had his head if he'd have gotten out of the middle of the road.
Hmm.
He stayed in the middle of the road, and Francis Marion rode him down and chopped his head off. Probably should have dove out of the middle of the road, dude. Just saying. Bunch of guys riding in on horseback, get down.
Yes.
He what can I say? He lost his head. But I mean, it is old gun church. Guys up yelling and screaming on the steeple and balls off of the steeple. Probably shouldn't have
Old.
been out there working by yourself.
I don't know if I know Old Gun Church.
I tell the story. It's on my podcast. It's a really good one. It's actually very haunted place around between Georgetown and Conway.
I've listened to all of your podcasts, so it's probably just when I re-listen to it, I'll hear one sentence and I'll say, "Oh yeah, now I remember it."
Yeah, so Old Gun Church is it's supposedly cursed. The man, Samuel Gunn, was up working on the roof, and he was supposedly just this horrible slave master. And they were building this church, and this is during the Civil War. And he was on the roof near the top of the steeple, finishing some work up there. And apparently he did something and ended up falling from the roof to his death. And as he fell, he cursed God, apparently. And it
Yes.
cursed the ground.
See, that's what I needed to hear. Now I remember it.
It cursed the ground, and that place suffered. Like the weird stories that surround what happened to that church. There were murders, there were miscarriages, there were mysterious deaths surrounding it, and then the entire place burned down in a fire in the 1930s or 40s. But the steeple still stood, and people still to this day say that when they look, the steeple is still there. They see somebody up by the steeple, only there's no roof and there's no way to get up there, and there's not even a floor up there anymore. So it's like, this is a crumbling ruin that's barely standing, and yet they see somebody at the top of it, still to this day. So
Interesting.
yeah, and believe it or not, the marsh where Old Gun Church is actually right across the Waccamaw from where the plantation that Alice Flagg lived in.
Oh, you have a little haunted area you're by, huh?
Yeah, I grew up in. I tell everybody the coast of South Carolina is probably the most haunted place in the United States of America, and nobody knows about it. We have ghosts. You can't throw a rock without there being a ghost nearby. It's really annoying.
It's really annoying. They
Like
disturb you.
seriously, they're just honestly, they're just like really. Why can't they just go somewhere else? Go
Well,
haunt New York City.
find her ring and she'll leave.
I can't find her ring. I'm busy trying to deal with all the other ones. You got Little Chicken Girl. You got the Little Chicken Girl who got freaking left out chained to a freaking post all night long.
Oh my gosh.
That one's actually I live where my apartment building is now is actually directly across the Tailrace Canal from where that story takes place.
Oh wow, you're just in the middle of all of it.
Oh yeah, being near Charleston, South Carolina is probably the best thing for me. It's where I get all of my ghost stories from. I just kind of walk outside and be like, anybody dead around here?
I feel like anywhere near water, like any coastline, seems to have the most ghost stories because it has the most history.
Yes. I think history has a lot to do with it. Also population. Um, and not only population, but the amount of travel.
Hmm.
If it's visited a lot, if a lot of people come in and out, then you're going to get a lot of ghost stories. But there are a lot of ghost stories in places like Chicago and Detroit, which aren't some of the oldest cities in America, but they were some of the most traveled places in America.
Hmm.
There were major points of travel, and so they had a lot of people coming and going, and incidents happen to strangers. Incidents happen to tourists more than they happen to locals because the locals know where to stay away from.
So you know where to avoid in your
Oh,
area?
oh yeah. There's a place I do not go. There are places I'm like, nope, not going there. No, no. Don't you want? No, I don't want to go anywhere near there. There's places I won't go at night. Has absolutely nothing to do with the people there. Has to do with the people that might have been there.
I
I'm
was
having
on
things fall on me.
this show the other day. It's called Just Us Thinking, which is it's a really fun. It's just like a variety show. They talk about all kinds of different topics. And when they had me on, they asked me, "Do I believe in ghosts?" And what's your answer to that?
Do I believe in ghosts?
Yes.
I believe in something. Um, I don't know what to call it, but I believe that there is something after this. I believe that ghosts have to exist because energy can either be created or destroyed.
Listen, you just gave my answer that it's going to air tomorrow, and you pretty much summed up exactly what I said. I think I brought up Einstein and his thing about energy and how it has to go somewhere. And I said,
Yeah,
I believe that there is something, but I don't know if it is a ghost. I believe, but I'm skeptical, but I know that there's something. It could be an aura, it could be an energy, it could be something that goes into something else.
well, I like what Yoda said. If you watched Empire Strikes Back, okay, Yoda sits there and looks at Luke and explains that luminous beings are we, not this, but beings of light. This is just a covering. There is so much more going on beneath the surface, and so after life, there's probably something that happens. It just probably is, and there's probably things that we don't understand. And I do for a fact know that I've seen things that I can't explain.
Hmm.
And I do for a fact know that there are places that I've gone to and I've gone, nope.
Yeah, there's
And,
an energy that comes over you in certain areas, and you know there's something dark there, or something doesn't want you there, or there's a feeling.
you know, and you experience these when you're around people. If you walk into a room and everybody in the room doesn't want you there, you feel that coming off of them. You walk in, they look at you, you look at them, and you go, yeah, this isn't the
Bless your
right place
heart.
for me. Bless y'all's heart. I'm gone. Bye. And in the South, that I don't know if that happens a lot up north. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that, if, a British guy walks into an Irish pub in Boston, that might be a problem. Um, you know, just assuming, especially if it's an Irish Catholic pub. But, down here, you walk into the wrong place wearing the wrong thing, and, some people get some kind of way. You walk in and you go, oh, this
I
is
think
not the heavy metal bar.
I think here you can more equate with it if you're at like a Patriots game and somebody walks in with a New York jersey on.
And see, it's the
That would be
same
the
thing.
issue.
It's the same thing down here. If you go to Columbia, South Carolina, and you wear a Clemson jersey, I'm going to miss you. That's all I got to say. And the same thing, if you go to Clemson and you wear a USC jersey to a Clemson game in Clemson in Death Valley, I'll send flowers. That's literally. But understand, there are places that give off that vibe too. And there's a place
Yes.
not far from here. It's called Strawberry Chapel. And I went out there one time at night, and I was riding with my ex, and we pulled up to the place, and she was real interested. And we pulled up there. I got there, and I went, nope, bye. And I turned around and I drove the heck away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I will ever go back, because all of my instincts, all of my senses, everything went to 11. It was something was not right, something was not safe. This place was bad, and I'd never had that happen before. I ran into burning buildings as a career, and all of my alarms went off and there was no fire. I was like, no. Whatever that is, it's worse than anything I've faced. I'm not dealing with it. And so I've gone back during the day. It is a very beautiful place during the day, but not at night. Not at night. Um, you won't catch me out there. And I tell the story about it, and people go, "Where is this place at?" And I said, "I'm not telling you where it's at. I'm not telling you how to get there, because I'm not going to be responsible for you going out there and doing something dumb. Like, it's that way. Go ask somebody else. Don't ask me. I won't tell you. I'll tell you how to go to Old Gun Church, the old city jail in Charleston. You can go play with Lavanya. I ain't telling you how to go to Strawberry Chapel." But so yeah, definitely, I would say I believe in ghosts. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, that was a fun episode we did over there. I love hearing different people's opinions on that.
well, you and I think we see eye to eye on a lot of things, because, like you said, it's the same answer. And it's the same thing with aliens. There's a big, big, big old universe out there. This isn't the only game in town. It's the only game we know about, but that's just because we don't have cable.
Yeah, I think there's something, but I don't know what.
We've only got the local channels, and we're in backwoods podunk of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's
um,
hard to even find out what's really out there because there's so many people making fake things that you have to kind of weed through those to get actual
yeah.
stories.
Well, I get that people like making the fake things, but it hinders a lot. I did an episode that I recorded this weekend with Victoria J, the demon folklorist, and she and we got into talking about the problem with demons being pointed out at everything's a demon, everything's a demon. No, everything is not a demon. There are many other things out there, and because so many of these, if you watch the paranormal shows, if you listen to some of these stories, it's all this is a demon, that's a demon. Well, if a demon really does show up, you're not going to know because you're busy calling everything else a demon. That's like if I go out and I call every car a Ford, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and finally a Ford pulls into the driveway. I'm not going to know that. I'm not going to know what's unique about the Ford. It's a Ford. That's a Ford.
Yep.
That might be a Ford, but the other one was a Chevy, and that was a Mazda, and that's a Honda over there. Oh, look, there's a GMC. It's very it's bad for people in our business, the misinformation that gets out, and that's one of the things that I'm like about yours is you like disrupting the misinformation as much as you can.
Yeah, I like to give the facts so at least you can make your own decision.
Exactly. Um, because sometimes the facts are the best part.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I've wasted enough of your time. Um, let's let everybody know about your podcast and where you're at and where they can find you.
Where Ouch Was That a Ghost? We cover paranormal, cryptid, some true crime. And we are on Spotify, Apple. I have a YouTube channel, but I didn't post anything yet. I'm trying to set up a whole video setup that works, but I'm not there yet. And I'm on other platforms, but I don't know which ones. So Spotify or Apple.
It's Ouch with That a Ghost. You can catch Liss, Mike, or whoever Liss has got on there, including me. I'm going to be on one of Liss's episodes, which is going to
Yes.
be, hopefully not horrible. She's going to let me tell her a story, which might be bad. I don't know.
You can't tell a bad story. You know it.
Shh, it's a secret. But if you guys get the chance, please go and check Liss out. Listen to Ouch Was That a Ghost, and get the merch because you guys still have the Ouch sweatshirt, don't you?
Yes, we have on TeePublic, we have merch, or you can go on ouchwasthataghost.com. There's a link to the merch site, or there's link to all the platforms. We have Patreon on there. Sometimes I have special giveaways for our Patreons, or we have merch sales through there. Sometimes I'll throw some tumblers on there for sale, or clothes, or
I gotta get on the
items.
Patreon. Man, that's freaking
Yeah, we just
awesome.
did, me and Mike did Ed Gein. Was the most recent one that we dropped.
You guys did Ed Gein? Oh, Ed Gein is awesome. That's the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. And somehow we turned it into Waterboy. I meant to look up if that was the inspiration for the mother, because as I was researching it, I kept on seeing, like, foosball's the devil. Like, that's what was happening in my head. I don't
Oh my
know if
God,
that's the inspiration,
that's perfect. It really is.
but I need to look that up.
We really somebody get Adam Sandler on the phone. We need answers. We need answers now.
Yes. No, but that was fun.
Oh, I got to go listen to that. So, guys, again, Liz, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for listening. This has been Let Me Tell You a Story. I am the Carolina Storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. If you get a chance, go to thecarolinastoryteller.com and check out the other episodes. Find out about my great and amazing guests like Liss from Ouch Was That a Ghost? And more importantly, go to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller. Join the community that's building. Get access to early episodes, bonus episodes. Liss is going to strangle me when she finds out the continuation of Storm's Legacy is going to be a Patreon exclusive this month. Sorry. But you guys get over there, check it out. And again, Liss, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And stay spooky, my friends. All right, that was good.